Hello and welcome to the Tennessee Informer. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have you ever heard of the Mises Institute? What do you know about it? Is it conservative or liberal or libertarian, which in the past has largely meant legalization of drugs, at least in Tennessee? And what about the Libertarian Party? Are they still as out there as we used to think they were? Are they more conservative and small government oriented than a lot of our self-described conservative Republicans? Tonight, our guest will answer those questions and more, including some discussion on the Defend the Guard bill that I think you'll be interested in. Our guests are Josiah and Samantha Baker. Just a little bit about each of them before we get started. Samantha and Josiah are dual-hatted. He is on the national board for the Mises Caucus and is the state chair of the Libertarian Party. She is the organizer for the Mises Caucus and vice chair of the Libertarian Party in Tennessee. Josiah started this during the Ron Paul days of 2012 during the presidential cycle. He joined the Libertarian Party officially after the lockdowns of the COVID regime, and he looks to work with all libertarians to unite and fight together. He has contributed to the elections of 2 Libertarian Party members in Tennessee. He's involved with boots on the ground, financially, and on social media. He's worked with all the within the walks of the net liberty-minded individuals willing to do the work. He's directly influenced the progression of Defend the Guard in Tennessee, and they've grown their ranks as a Mises Caucus national board member and as chairman of the Libertarian Party in Tennessee. He does different publications, podcasts, and event appearances. His second term as chair began in 2025. Samantha is a mother of 3, a chemist, a homemaker who began her tenure in the Liberty Movement from Florida in 2016. For nearly a decade, her focus had been on parental rights, education, single-issue coalition work, state legislation, election laws, campaign planning, and upgrading the Libertarian Party's data management and communications. This is her first term on the executive committee, and she's excited to effect change in state leadership and organizing the grassroots in efforts of primarying several bad eggs in the Tennessee General Assembly, and there's a lot of them. Thank you both for joining us tonight. How are you?
Spectacular. We're excited to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you. You guys sound busy.
We are extremely busy. And I will note, a lot of this spurred from the Mises Institute, which is out of Auburn, Alabama, and they are the ground zero for what's called the Austrian Economic School, which, short way of saying a long treatise of economic books, it's pure free market, laissez-faire economics. It comes from the school of Ludwig von Mises, later Murray Rothbard, and then later Hans Hermann Hoppe.
And he's saying all that to differentiate. We're not from the Institute, and you did correct it. We are from the Mises Caucus, which just like other parties who have caucuses that are focused on a certain message they want their party to have, within the Libertarian Party we have the Mises Caucus, and as he said, it's based on Austrian economic policies. Very much in vast majority, we are the remnants of the Ron Paul revolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I hear themes in your bios that are things Republicans should support, but we both know our Republican supermajority works against our rights and freedoms more often than not, and Dems are just communist and satanic. So tell us a little bit more about the Mises Institute and their goals and institute, and then we'll get into the Libertarian Party.
Absolutely. So the Institute focuses, they are a nonprofit that is focused on free market economics. We extrapolated that influence under the original founder of the Mises Caucus, Michael Heiss, and we wanted to bring, post-2008, 2012, Ron Paul, you had all these great folks left over from the old right that got behind that were about ending foreign entanglements, boondoggles, that were about sound money backed by gold, that were about America First policies. And after those campaigns, a lot of folks had hoped that would move into like a Rand Paul campaign or another campaign. And it just kind of scattered to the wind. So originally the caucus was formed to get, let's say, put the band back together. And we looked at the best apparatus that we could take over, which at the time was the National Libertarian Party, the 3rd largest party in the country. We did that with resounding victory. And we took that over to control the messaging. Because just like we understand in Tennessee, there's nothing worse than people that say they're conservative and behave like 90s Democrats. There's nothing that makes your skin crawl than someone saying they represent what you are and absolutely do the opposite.
Right.
And so we had to take over
which is another parallel that we're coming to familiarity with the GOP. So like he said, there's 90s Democrats with R's next to their name, and more frequently, which I think is the theme of this episode, R does not mean conservative. And so we're here to unite even Republicans, Libertarians, even people who haven't voted in a long time in grassroots efforts to get everyone back on board for where we're supposed to be in, which is a really conservative state.
So this Libertarian Party is no longer the party that revolves around legalizing drugs and really, I mean, that was for the long time. It seems like that was their only issue. So you guys have basically given them the boot just in Tennessee or nationwide?
So libertarians are for, we're personally, we don't use, but there are libertarians that are for decriminalization or for ending the war on drugs.
Right.
But it ties back to the net core of less government.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nuance to what legality looks like and victim versus victimless crime. But that is a facet for some libertarians that they are passionate about. But for by and large, we are focused on the things in terms of our money, our privacy, our autonomy. Those are the really strong pillars in our movement. And for some people, sure, maybe they still really are passionate about weed and this is a free country, go for it. But by and large, we're focused on the issues that are really impacting our everyday lives as a nation.
Okay. So in Tennessee, it's more in Tennessee, and I've met several people and talked to several people that in the Libertarian Party, and they, at least at the introduction, seem to be fairly conservative people. They don't seem to be Democrats of another stripe, like so many of our Republican supermajority. The R, like you said, doesn't stand for conservative. In some cases, it stands for reptile. In some cases, it stands for reprobate. But most of them are not conservative, and their record shows that.
And at the end of the day, record and what you do, not what you say, is what matters. And I think very quickly in Tennessee politics, we have picked up over the years that people will go out and campaign like they're Barry Goldwater, and the moment they get elected, they are Obama with what they do.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting. And we're at a point right now, not just nationally, but we focus on Tennessee. We're at a point right now, say we have marginal differences on topics. We don't have the luxury of arguing on margins when we see what's happening in Tennessee,
right.
When we see the blowout budgets, the absolute corporate welfare, these things that it's like, hey, it would be nice if we could argue over 2% in the discussion because everything else is rosy. But look at where we're sitting.
Yeah.
We have to work together on these things.
And thanks to the, we're not on the ballot, but we're very vocal. We're very principled. We have the largest following on social media out of any political movement in the state. And so, we could just sit there and live in obscurity and make really good memes, or we can unite the grassroots groups that we have so much in common with. We're talking 2A purists. We're talking the Tennessee Grassroots or Coalition for Grassroots Conservatism. We're talking TNCSS, state sovereignty. Like these are all groups that we're 95% overlap with. And
right.
So when the question is posed, can the liberty movement save Tennessee? I think with this urgency and the behavior of the current establishment, I think we're all fired up enough. I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Now, those on the screen, it's kind of hard to read, but you mentioned Second Amendment. I mean, that should be an absolute for everybody, Republican or Libertarian. You mentioned state sovereignty. I'm co-founder of TNCSS, and I definitely believe that, if you have a government that's a state government not willing to nullify, they're not really willing to uphold their oath. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
And so I'm glad to see you guys support that. What are a couple of other things that most real conservatives might even be surprised to know that the Libertarian Party supports or opposes, whichever may be the case.
I would say the Libertarian Party is vehemently anti-DEI, woke-based agenda, anything identitarian and collectivist. We view the importance of the individual, merit-based things that one-on-one you are responsible for. And I think it's so easy in American and Tennessee politics to get into team versus team.
Right.
And all that does is revert to collectivism. And we're vehemently anti-collectivist. You stand on your own merit, not whose jersey you're wearing.
Right.
One of the things that a lot of folks might have a misconception about is there are so many within our libertarian rank that live as hyper-social conservative people. There are some, I'm sure, that don't. But a lot of us,
Same with Republicans.
Same with
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I, for example, we're Orthodox Christian. You don't get much more conservative in the way you do your day-to-day than that. Again, we leave that up to an individual. As long as we agree on the principles of liberty, that's all I need to work with you. It's very Hippocratic oath. Work with anyone to do good and no one to do harm. You know, leave people alone.
And I think, and I know a lot of the pure libertarians will hate me for this. Reagan said it best a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you that clip earlier.
Yeah. Go ahead and say what you're going to say, then we'll play the clip.
Yeah, just with, at the time, the Libertarian National Party was created in the 70s. So a little bit after that, it was still trending and building and growing. And Reagan even said, ultimately, that the ultimate conservatism is libertarian. You want to be left alone. You want the government to have as little interference with your life on a day-to-day basis as possible. And the downfall, the uprising of fascism will come from the liberals. And you can kind of see, he says it better than I do.
Let's go ahead and play that tape there for the audience.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
Well, always has been. Because how do we call a liberal? You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
You know, I don't think most of the Republican supermajority believes that anymore, unless it's for specific favored businesses.
Yeah, it's very funny. A lot of the establishment, I call them regime Republicans in Tennessee. They're part of the regime. They're part of that bowl. And they actually embrace Mussolini's definition of fascism, which is the corporate, high-up elite, big business, like Reagan said, being in bed with big government. And they work in this symbiotic relationship of picking winners and looters and crushing everyone below. That's Mussolini's definition of fascism. And that word is such a non-term nowadays because if you don't like the color of my hair.
Less fascist,
Yeah.
But that's the actual definition Mussolini gave for fascism.
Well,
and that is what establishment loves.
He just described the Republican supermajority. That's exactly what he described. He described our last two governors, at least the last two governors. I didn't pay that much attention to the one before that because I was still in the Army. But wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. So what's the demographic of the Libertarian Party in Tennessee?
If you had to go from age, it's going to go from anywhere from high school to we have folks in their 60s and 70s. But if I had to grade a percentage out of our ranks in this state right now,
it's 45 and under.
45 and under.
45 and under. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lot of the, like I said, I got started in this almost 10 years ago, but it's more and more with the information we have available. And when you have groups like ours connecting with the grassroots folks and we're putting the word out there, actually, this is the truth. Here's what they're really doing. Our generation's online.
Right.
So they're seeing that, and you're seeing, and God bless my parents, they're boomers, but they're seeing like, wait a minute, something's not adding up, something's not right. I voted for this, but they're doing that, and I can see your voting record. It's online, so that's where we get an influx of people who are kind of like, we're almost 40, so we're not before sliced bread like some of our active congressmen, but that's where our main demographic is. Millennials.
And I would say the pipeline from that, I'm very big on defining wins. And back during the Ron Paul revolution of 2008, 2012, everyone goes, oh, he lost. Yeah, he lost that election, but he actually won the revolution. Can you name one person that has been inspired to get involved in politics because of Jeb Bush?
Well, yeah, maybe one of his kids. Maybe somebody else in the Bush family. That'd be about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't name me one guy that got fired up because of Rick Santorum. Like people, there is no revolution movement that followed any of those milquetoast, empty suit corporate candidates.
Right.
Ron Paul is 90 years old today and has a podcast every day. What happened? We are the sheaves that were brought in the harvest from that revolution, and now we are engaged, and we've been able to be schooled in that thought, and we're not going away.
You mentioned elections, that you were involved in some elections and had some victories. Were those you're talking about here in Tennessee?
Here in Tennessee, what people don't know, a lot of your local elections are nonpartisan, where you do not have to fight state ballot access issues.
Right.
One of our good members, Cole Ebel, out in the Carthage area, he was on city council out there, almost upseated the mayor. We have David Tyler, who is vice mayor in East Ridge, another phenomenal rep. And we have multiple sheriff candidates out east in the state that are running on nullification. They are running on nullification.
I got to get in touch with those guys. We got to talk to those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get you a list.
Definitely.
We have a county commissioner candidate just this week, one of our ranks. She'll be announcing soon. So
super excited.
Good. Well, yeah, I didn't know. I'm glad to hear that sheriffs, because, I think a lot of sheriffs don't understand the power they're supposed to have.
Most important seat.
Yeah.
But that's another facet. That's why the liberty, not even libertarian, just the liberty movement,
right.
Liberty-minded folks understanding how this works, getting the education of how it all works. Can you imagine just like a sea of liberty-minded sheriffs?
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah.
That's our goal.
We talked about demographics a little bit, and you talked about, basically it's all about liberty, get the government out. The other night, at an event, Ken Berry was there, Dr. Ken Berry, and I've had him on this show, and I've had him at different events, and good guy. And I know by listening to what he has to say about health, he's not a big fan of dairy in general, but he's going to be at the Milk Summit on the 8th. And I said, I didn't think you were a big fan of milk. He said, I'm not a big fan of milk, but I'm a real big fan of freedom. And that if people want to drink raw milk, they ought to be able to drink raw milk. And so that's a good point. And, he's probably I don't know exactly how old Ken is. I'm going to say he's in his 50s. But, a little above the average age that you referenced there. But, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm not necessarily a dairy fan, but I am a fan of letting people, if they want to have raw milk, and not have the government tell them, oh, you can't do this, and send in the milk Gestapo to raid the farm. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. That's spectrum on any concern. Like, we even have people in our movement who just, whether they were traumatized or they're just not just with it, they don't like guns, and that's okay. But the last thing they're going to do is try to talk anyone else in our movement out of exercising their Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the difference. It's that nuance of the individual. Hey, you don't want to touch a gun ever? Fine. I don't hate you for it. As long as you don't come for mine.
Exactly.
Right.
Right? That's the difference.
Yeah. And that's, I just mentioned about the milk Gestapo. These guys show up at these, and even they've even done it at the Amish, show up armed.
Yeah.
They show up with guns drawn like they're going to take down some milk terrorist or something, you know? I mean, it's insane. So I'm going to go to that summit as well. I'm curious to hear what's what.
Oh, you're going to make it. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to make it. Well, I told my wife about it. She says, "Oh, I want to go." Well, hey, okay, well, I guess we're going. So
Awesome.
Fantastic.
that will be November 8th, 1 to 4 p.m. You do have to register. It is free, but you do have to register. Okay, and they're going to have some great speakers there. You're going to be speaking, Samantha, and we're going to have Miss Gorham. Obviously, it's her farm. Ken Berry, Michelle Renaud, Monty Fritz. So we're going to have the best of the legislators there. Let's put it that way.
And some other candidates too. So at the state level, Michelle's already in. She's obviously up for re-election. She did wonders in her freshman year. We're really excited for her tenure there.
Yeah.
But we have Mr. John Llewellyn out of District 78,
Okay.
which, Miss Littleton has decided to retire.
Oh, good. Good.
So
I'm sure the establishment has a candidate picked. Do we know who that is
we're
yet?
not worried about that. We've got our guy.
Okay.
And he's doing great. And he's one of you. He's another Jody Barrett.
Good.
And Jody, he'll split Dixon with Jody. That's why we say that. He's very much the same as Jody.
Yeah. I met him a couple weeks. Well, I met him at Jody's event there. So we'll
great.
have to get him on at some time.
And then you had Will Bolton on not too long ago.
Yep. I like Will. Will's a sharp guy. Very sharp.
He'll be there too. So these are all
that's a long haul for him.
Yeah, but he's going to go to the rhino removal project that evening. So he's already out west, and he's going to do us the decency of showing up for a little bit.
Okay, good. Now, one of the things that you guys are involved with, that every conservative, everybody who's ever taken an oath to the Constitution, okay, which all of our elected officials do, most of them don't have a clue what's in it. Most of them don't care what's in it, unfortunately, at any level, state or federal. They're just clueless and don't care. But Defend the Guard bill basically just says, hey, we're not going to send our National Guard overseas if there's not a declaration of war. What a concept. Wow. Yeah. I wonder who thought of that. Well, I don't know. It's in the book here. It's right here. Yeah. And of course, we talked about this on the show before. I had McKnight, Mr. McKnight on, and then I had Nate Dressel. I had him on a couple of months ago, and we talked about the bill. And that's essentially what the bill does. That's all it does. If we don't have a declaration of war, we don't send our National Guard. But the legislature is totally opposed to that, and we ended up, Rick Eldridge recommended sending the bill to summer study. Now, I did listen. You sent me an audio that was recorded of a recent meeting with you, him, Representative Rudd, and then I guess the other woman on there is the secretary, Rudd's secretary or Eldridge's secretary. We're going to play a clip of that here in a second. But just to back up and give everybody a little bit of background, Eldridge was a co-sponsor last session. The bill was sponsored by Michelle Renaud, and the National Guard is opposing this bill, and they made up this talking point list of all the money and funding that the Guard would lose if we passed this bill. If we didn't send our guys overseas without a declaration of war, the world would end. The National Guard would end for Tennessee because, they would cut all of our funding, which we know that's not true. It's not even legal. Okay.
It's not legal at all. And even let's think about it though. Let's take it back to big picture. If you do this, I'm going to take your money.
Yeah.
What does that sound like?
Sounds a lot like extortion to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a threat because it's an empty threat. And it, like you said, it's illegal. So we can go ahead and.
Yeah. So anyway, he did recommend it to summer study. Now, I did listen to the whole tape. I will say that there is one good thing about him recommending some summer study, and he did mention this, that if they would have voted then, the bill would have been dead, according to him. Now, I don't know that that's actually true, but let's just assume that it was, because I know we have a bunch of reptiles up there, okay? And I know that they don't if the leadership is opposed to it, then they're opposed to it. Most of them, 98% of them up there. So it is still alive because it went to summer study. But now, was that what we're going to play the audio of? Was this an actual summer study? This was just a discussion. Have they actually had the summer study yet that Rick Eldridge said he was going to do?
No, and through other parts of the tape, which we're not going to play the whole thing, I understand. Right. His assistant, whoever's assistant, was kind enough to say, here's the process to get a summer study, as if we haven't looked into it 4 times and we keep getting stonewalled by leadership. Right. We know how it works. You're not doing it. And we went to him. This was a side meeting purely to be like, you sent it to summer study. Please go fight for the summer study. And it turned into this whole roller coaster of not following the Constitution. Right. Now, is he still saying they're going to do one? Or is he saying there's not going to be one? He doesn't talk to us anymore. Maybe you can ask him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll talk to me very long. But but you haven't, it's not scheduled.
No, but I have heard as of late because we work with Dan McKnight and Diego Rivera from Bring Our Troops Home on this. I think their last hearing from Michelle was that she was finally figuring out the way to kind of force Cameron Sexton to acknowledge the summer study. So it's not dead. We're still fighting for it, but we're waiting for updates. Okay. All right. Now we're going to play this tape, and this is a 10-minute tape, but we're only going to play like the last couple of minutes of it. And if you want to touch after this, if you want to touch base on, or actually before we start playing it, kind of give us just a quick rundown of what was said before. And we'll leave this posted if people want to come on the site. If we can do that, Kevin, we could leave it posted. They can come and listen to it for themselves so they could hear the whole thing. So we're not hiding anything. It's just we're not going to go through the whole 10 minutes because we're going to get to the meat of what they said. So you know the part we're going to play. Can you kind of just fill in the blanks before we get to that part? Absolutely. So essentially, we're in the part of the conversation, it's winding down, where Eldridge has just acknowledged, okay, I have all this proof that it doesn't hurt our federal funding. But my biggest problem is that it limits the power of the president. So that's kind of the kicking off of this part of the clip. And we kind of walk him through what he just said as a conservative, and you can take it from there.
Okay. Anything else prior to that you guys want to fill the blank in on? Anything?
I mean, it was actually a 22-minute conversation. We started it and got the last 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes were literally a circular repeat argument of, well, where does it say the president doesn't have war powers? Article 1, Section 8. And we had to go over this at least a dozen times with...
I wish I had recorded that part because I was literally like, do you want me to print you the Constitution?
Brother, I'm telling you, we should have had the Benny Hill theme song playing the entire first 10 minutes.
Now, what's the law on recording in Tennessee? This is not...
This is legal. It's a one-party state.
Yeah, okay. One-party consent.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so... Nothing relevant other than that apparently in that circular conversation about Article 1, Section 8, and the person kept asking the question of where it says the president can't do it was Representative Rudd, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, all right. We're going to go ahead and play the tape here, and you're going to hear, and these guys can clarify after the tape plays who was saying what, but you're going to hear Rudd, you're going to hear Eldridge, you're going to hear Josiah ask questions, and Samantha, I think you're making some comments as well. The other female in this tape is the secretary. I'm not sure if she's even in this part.
Yeah, she's not in this clip.
Okay, all right. Is there anybody else that I didn't cover that's on this last portion? Okay.
That should be it.
All right, hey, we're going to go ahead and play the tape. Thank you, Kevin.
Funding. The federal government, we proved that during the vaccine. They most certainly can cut funding and move things around.
And funding is more important than the Constitution, for the record.
But my only objection, and I told Renee, and I think, and by the way, I can tell you right now, just walking the halls and people talking to me, it was going to go down in massive numbers, overwhelmingly. That's just the members saying, what do you think about this bill? I don't like this bill. I mean, virtually everyone I came into that was bringing it up in conversation. So it was not a popular bill. The only misgivings I've ever had about it is limiting the presidential powers and interfering with that.
And as a conservative, you're against that?
Well, that has nothing to do with being conservative or not, or being liberal. That has to do with limiting presidential powers, constitutional powers. And I keep hearing the word Constitution, Constitution, Constitution. I hear that right now coming from the other side, that everything Trump does is unconstitutional and the courts are upholding it. So I'm not a constitutional expert, but I just have to look into it more. But that's my only misgivings.
And I'm not a constitutional expert either. So
Right,
what we're saying is, or what I'm saying is, I want to know for sure what is going on. And when both sides are saying that the other one's not telling the truth, what do?
You have a meeting with both sides in a summer study like you guys didn't want to do. That's what you do.
Well, I can tell you right now, from what I understand, General Ross has washed his hands of the whole thing.
Cool.
I've reached out to Salatka. Trust me,
Well, they got PTs to catch up on.
And I'm sorry, when you're nice, you're ignored. We were ignored.
Yes. It's not time for nice anymore. It's just not. We're in a re-election season. I'm looking at Tennessee report card right now. You're at a 73.
I serve here at the will of the people of that district, and if they want rid of me, I've got a place to go.
I just want to give you the chance
I want to give you the chance to do the right thing. But
you've been very fair. Thank you.
Thank you for the meeting.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Okay. All right.
That's you going back in my purse.
So the first guy talking was Representative Rudd.
Yes.
Okay. Constitution. I want to make sure that the president is not hindered. Well, my understanding.
I made him clarify, as a conservative, this is what you mean. When I think, Dave, you and I have the understanding that the Constitution is designed to limit the president. Congress has a job
Yes.
to limit presidential overreach. And what happens when there's a president in there that you don't like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, would he be making that same argument for Biden? The thing is, if you're conservative, I always thought conservatives supported the Constitution. Now, look, I know that the Democrats don't really believe in the Constitution. I know they would like to completely get rid of it. And this is an old game of the party in power doesn't care about the Constitution when they're in power. And the party out of power, that's when they bring in, and that goes back, way back in the 1840s, Calhoun talked about that. And he's right. They only care about it when they're out of power. But the sad thing is, even though the Democrats don't mean a damn word of what they say about it, the sad thing is that the Republicans have slipped so much and are so out of tune with what's in here and with our history and with the common sense meaning of the words, what's in black and white, that they're so out of tune with that technically the Democrats are right. Okay? Not on everything. I'm not saying they're right on everything, but in terms of there being a limit to presidential power, to certain things requiring congressional approval. To go to war requires Congress to declare war, something we haven't done since World War II. And oh, by the way, can you say we may have won on the ground, but what have we actually, from any of the wars since the end of the Second World War, what have we gained? I mean, we lose a bunch of guys, we stay there a bunch of years, and then we pull out.
And everything goes back to the way it was or worse.
Yeah. So
if more zooming out, like you said it, it's the people in power who don't care about the Constitution. They have volleyed that, at least at the federal level, they have volleyed that so much, even since World War II, that it's becoming pretty blurred.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
so
it shouldn't matter to us.
That's why we focus on Tennessee. Federal's cooked. We're going to stay here and try to help Tennessee.
Right. I understand. But, here's the thing, though. This is the state guard. As a state rep, you should not want your state guard guys to deploy unless it's done in accordance with the Constitution. Okay, now, so there's declaration of war. Congress doesn't have to do a declaration of war. They can do something lesser. They can do letters of marque and reprisal, or they could do something. Congress could say, hey, look, this is the mission, and we want you to just do, these are the objectives. go boom, do that, XYZ, don't go any further. Now, and I'm not saying plan the mission. I'm not saying plan it out tactfully. I'm just saying, look, here is, they can do those kind of, they rarely do, but we have, the Constitution is no good if you don't follow it. And that's the problem. And it's a problem for me that at the state level, our officials, not only they're ignorant of this Constitution, they're ignorant of the state Constitution, which has a Declaration of Rights right up front that they ignore every day, ignore every year. Most of them don't have a clue what's in it. The ones that do don't give a damn. Yeah. And
we had 2 elected Republicans right there.
That's right. And they've been up there a long time, both of them.
Experts.
What's that?
They said we had 2 elected Republicans right in front of us.
Yeah.
Saying we're not constitutional experts.
Yeah.
Like, you're not?
It's kind of part of the job.
You might want to brush up a little bit.
Yeah. So apparently they think you're only a constitutional expert if you're a lawyer or if you're a judge or if you, I guess, have been a law professor. That makes you a constitutional expert. All of them should be, to some degree at least, constitutional experts. I mean, neither this or the state constitution should be a mystery to them. And, here's the thing. If they don't, they say they don't know, but they seem to be assuming that the people opposing this are right. And they seem to be just more worried about not limiting the president. We know what they're really worried about. We know what the generals are really worried about. They're worried that they will, well, they say they're worried about the money. I don't think, we know that's not true because they can't actually lose the money. I think they're more worried about loss of face. Oh, wow, those Tennessee Guard guys, yeah, they won't go. They want to actually follow the Constitution. How ridiculous is that? They don't want to just cough up their bodies to go overseas somewhere for some crap country that's not worth one American life. They seem to be fine with that.
What you're talking about, we, for those that don't know, since the War on Terror was declared, I think around 40% of active duty was National Guard, and about 18% of fatalities were National Guard, of all the troops that died. We were sitting, ironically, the previous day meeting with Rick. We had our own, those for this bill kind of study, and it was Michelle Renault, Monty Fritz, Todd Warner, Salinas, Afton Bain was in the room. They supported it. And John Thorpe, who's running as an independent, was there as a topic specialist. He's a Chinook pilot.
Yep.
And we're all sitting
there goes
in there.
Half of Matt Van Epps' campaign.
Yeah.
We got another helicopter pilot.
And we're all sitting in there and we're going over still manning the arguments because no one against the bill could be bothered to be there. And someone brought up, well, that issue of, well, why when certain, the Marines are polled or this arm is polled, why do they sometimes are they against it? And John Thorpe giggled. He's like, because if they're active duty, they're going to have to do what the National Guard's been leaned on as a crutch to do. And I was like, I've never heard that angle.
That's a good point.
But that was a great point. All of a sudden, these generals that need to pass a PT test after what we heard recently,
yep.
All of a sudden they've got to get off their butt and follow the Constitution. There's a difference between Tennessee National Guard
and that's the perversion of it that really grinds me at night. Like when I'm thinking about it, this bill doesn't complicate anything. It simplifies everything. We're not limiting the National Guard at all with this bill. We are upholding their job description in the Constitution. Point blank, period. It's a less than 2-page bill.
Yep.
Yeah.
All this argument and 10-page Attorney General studies, it's just like, no, that none of this is appropriate for what this bill actually does. And it's smoke and mirrors.
The bill is essentially follow the Constitution.
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is. Now, and I want to tell you something else too, and I think I mentioned this to Nate Drussel. If you look historically about the use of the Guard, which they called the militia at the time, National Guard is what it was changed to after early 1900s. the Dick Act,
1903,
the,
Dick Act. Yeah.
appropriately named, okay, changed they called them National Guard, and I think it actually changed some other things, although I don't know that all of them would be constitutional. But in any event, in the War of 1812, Madison got a lot of pushback from the New England states, not the southern states, the New England states, because he wanted troops. He wanted them to send their troops because he also wanted, they were going to invade Canada. And
I didn't know that.
And he's like, and these New England states are like, no. They were not even comfortable really sending their militia out of their state, okay? They were very hesitant to do that, but definitely were not going to send troops to the federal government for the federal government to invade another country. That was against the purpose, the initial purpose and understanding of the militias at the time. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask them to follow the Constitution. I think it's ridiculous. It's an embarrassment that our legislators either don't understand this simple part of the Constitution or don't care, whatever the case might be.
100%. And one thing that happened in the first 10 minutes while we were in there, and I would say this to any Tennessee person that loves to tout Trump. If you are anti-HB 0129 Defend the Guard legislation, your action being anti that bill by default is anti-Trump and what he's trying to do with the National Guard to reclaim the cities. Because reclaiming the cities and
means they're home.
Means they're home. You can't deploy National Guard in that instance of what Trump is trying and wanting to do if they're overseas. So, and they got a holy hush filled the room when I brought that up in there with the reps, because suddenly you've completed the circle of logic. And that's just true. You can't say you're pro-Trump, and I'm not saying I am, whatever. But you can't say you're pro his agenda with National Guard deployment if you are willing to not sign on to this bill.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Our politicians should be pro-Constitution, not I'm pro-Trump. Well, no, okay. You should be pro-Trump when he does something in accordance with this. If he's not doing it in accordance with this, then you shouldn't be pro-Trump. I mean, I'll tell you what,
Amen.
On the left, you've got the libtards whoever their guy is, Obama, Biden, whatever their side says they're for. They're all for it. Whether they understand it or not, they're all for it. Well, on the right, we got the magtards, okay? They support Trump no matter what. No matter what. Now, I'm glad he's in there. I'm glad we don't have Kamala. I appreciate some of the good things he's doing. But I'm sorry. I am not in a cult. If you're in a cult, if you're a cult follower of Trump, you're a fool. If you're a cult follower of anybody, you're a fool.
100%.
As a Christian, that man is not infallible. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I get fed up with these people that, Trump. And here's what really gets me. A lot of those politicians that do that now, good and damn well they didn't support him, certainly early on.
Oh, no, they were DeSantis supporters.
Speaking of Marsha Blackburn, Miss January 6th herself.
Yep.
January 6th herself, and now half of her campaign, maybe 3/4, is Trump.
Well, yeah,
honey, you tried to have him indicted. Like, knock it off.
Yeah, you listen to her speeches, and it's all Trump. That's it. That's all she's got to say is Trump. And I think it's because she knows a lot of people remember that she backstabbed Trump on January 6th. And so now she just wants to come out, and that's her whole campaign is Trump. And that's it.
And, with her campaign, if we're pivoting there, I'm so disgusted by people that I thought were liberty warriors in our state that have just lined up right behind anything Marsha wants to do or say or support, even people not even in their district. They want to do that because they think they can get the back scratch. It's just disgusting to me.
Yeah.
And we all know there's people nose to tail in this state that we thought were good constitutional liberty fighters. And they're just kissing the ring.
Yeah. She certainly thinks she's inevitable. Apparently, they think she's inevitable, and a lot of them know she's not the best candidate. That she won't be the best for the state, but they think she's going to win. They want to support her. It's ridiculous.
Did you hear about the Campbell County straw poll?
Oh, the Campbell County straw. Yeah, from what I understand, that's not a new thing. Apparently, from what I have heard, they're going to have like a straw poll at County X, and they want to know. They'll ask the Blackburn campaign, well, how many seats are there? And they'll say, 200, 300. Okay, we'll take them. What do you mean you'll take them?
Yep.
Yeah. They buy up. They try to buy up all the seats. Now, apparently, at this Campbell County deal, it was her, Rose, and Representative Fritz, and so it's showing that she got something like 70%, and then Fritz got 3%, and then Rose got the remainder there, or 20-some percent. Anyway, well, my understanding is she bought a lot of those, and then the way it was described, it was supposed to be done was you got a blank. Number one, you had to pay $5. You had to pay your little poll tax. Yep. Okay, pay $5 to vote, and you're supposed to get a blank ballot. Well, her people were handing out ballots to people, and it already had Marsha's name on it.
250 of them.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that's another thing I want to say, especially because I'm very passionate about this governor election.
Yep.
All of the issues we're talking about, if we don't have another Bill Lee in there, Tennessee is going to become so much more free, so much more constitutionally conservative if we get someone like Monty in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm saying this as a warning almost.
Yep.
With the success and growth we've had, not just in the Libertarian Party, but in all the networks we have of grassroots folks, people who are focused on the issues. We have collaborated, we're all working together, and we are at these meetings. We are at your Reagan dinners. We are at your GOP meetings that are monthly. And we are taking note, and we will tell everyone what you're doing.
Good. I agree with you. Monty is hands down the best candidate. I get sick and tired of hearing, he's the best guy for it, but, he just doesn't have the money. And that's such a cop-out because... So my next question is I'm always thinking to ask, well, okay, are you going to donate? Because if you think he's the best candidate and you won't donate, then you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem if you won't donate.
Do you really want someone whose money really comes from big pharma and foreign PACs?
Yeah, $700,000.
So you're cool with that money?
Yeah, $700,000 she got from. Matter of fact, there was a video on that I posted earlier on my Facebook page, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen it as well. It's going around. Some guy asked her the question. We played it in the first show. Asked her the question about the $700,000 she got from Big Pharma. She won't even respond.
No.
She won't. She's got this arrogant smirk on her face, but she won't even respond. I know she doesn't want to debate. She's going to have to debate eventually. I guarantee you that. But she doesn't want to debate. She thinks she's entitled, and she thinks it's just, it's a coronation, just waiting for the day.
It's my turn. It's literally the Hillary campaign. It's my turn.
Yeah, she's Tennessee's Hillary Clinton.
And of course Rose is, his I think the biggest thing about him, I think what makes him so popular is her unpopularity. It's the fact that he's not Marsha.
Yeah.
I really do. But I'm going to tell you right now, and this will happen eventually. We will get all three of them to debate. And I can tell you right now, neither one of those two will be able to hold a candle to Monty Fritz. They're not as smart. They can't think as quick. They don't have as much in their background. Okay.
Talk about a constitutional expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, he's common sense. He's looking at things. Matter of fact, you're already starting to see some of the other campaigns kind of copy his stuff that he's putting out there. But he is the guy that we need, and I hope the people realize that. If we get anybody but him, we'll have gotten just another establishment hack. Rose will be a little better than her, but not much. Not much.
for anybody that I would say, I was talking to someone on the campaign recently, for anyone that says, well, we like him, but he just can't win. And my response to that was neither could the 13 colonies.
Yeah.
And yet they did.
Those were even longer odds.
Yeah. And that's something I'm very impressed. I've seen Monty speak numerous times. He's co-sponsored bills that we believe in, like Defend the Guard.
Yep.
And he is a man of the people, and he's not a DC swamp rat.
Yep, absolutely. Liberty and less government. Liberty and less government. And neither of those other two could actually say that because of everything they have. Number one, they have both. They've got debt stains all over their hands, okay, from the debt and the deficit. They're just dripping. Yep. And look at the garbage they voted for over the years. Oh, I would encourage everybody. We do have the, if you go to, it's the John Birch Society Freedom Index.
Yep.
Go to the Freedom Index, and you can just type in Marsha's name and see what her lifetime score is. I think it's like 67 or 68. Now, she got an 80 so far from the 25-26, but that's not over yet, number one. But her lifetime score is 67. If you push in John Rose's, it's like a 73. Now, Monty's, you have to go to the state. You have to actually click on the state of Tennessee. Then the legislature will pop up, and you can put his. He's like a 94 lifetime average. So,
and the receipts are there too for the individual bills they voted on.
Yes.
And you can see only one of the gubernatorial candidates have voted against expanding the budget every time.
Absolutely. And
the other two have assisted in letting us achieve $38 trillion in debt.
Yes. Yes.
And that's not us. That's not playing favorites. That is the receipt.
Absolutely. And everybody should look at this. And you know what I would encourage you to do? All those people that are endorsing Marsha, go look up their records on this index. And the reason I point out the John Birch Society Index is because it's based on the Constitution. A lot of these others are not necessarily, when they're put out by a think tank, they don't necessarily check them for constitutionality. They just say, yeah, this is a good position. This is a conservative position. We support it. We don't support it. But John Birch's, the first question is it constitutional?
Yep.
And that's what they're evaluated on. I would encourage everybody to go.
That's my number one source is that Freedom Index.
So everybody should go look that up. Look up the people that are endorsing. And if you look them up, most of the ones that are endorsing, especially endorsing Marsha, they're like in the 50 and 60 ratings. I mean, they really, like you said earlier, they're Democrats hiding out in the GOP is what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, we're getting a little low on time here. Anything you guys want to hit before we go? Any upcoming events, website information?
Absolutely. So we previewed it earlier. Raw Milk Summit is on November 8th. Okay. That's happening in Bon Aqua. Check out my page or the Gorham Homestead. All the information's there. Way down the line, but our state convention is in April in Chattanooga. Last year we had Dr. Peter McCullough as the keynote. We're expecting even bigger gathering this year. And speaking of that gubernatorial debate, we are looking at one of those instances to hold that debate with all the candidates.
Good.
So yeah, that's what's top of mind for us. And the Rhino Removal Project. It's not an event, but we're very much behind the message and the fundraiser they're doing to get rid of the rhinos in the General Assembly. Yeah. That is in Nashville on November 8th in the evening.
That's a whole herd that we have to get. We got to cull the herd. But hey, good having you guys on. I'm glad that the libertarians care more about weed more than other things than weed now, and that you guys are really. It sounds like most people who call themselves conservative Republicans that we got a lot of things to work together on.
That's right.
And here's the deal: since the GOP won't close the primaries, all you libertarians can vote in the primaries, okay? They won't close them. I mean, that's not news to you, but they refuse to close them. So, hey, that's just more people that can hopefully vote can help cull the herd. So, well, hey,
let's go.
Thank you both for being with us and for all you do. I want to thank the audience for watching the show tonight. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, so please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons as well as the notification bell so you never miss an episode. We appreciate your support. Thanks again to Jonathan and Mary for their financial support from July through October. You guys are great. Check out our audio podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and other platforms as well. Sign up for our weekly newsletter at our website, teeninformer.com. Find and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. A few announcements here. The Stewart County GOP will host a meet and greet for Monty Fritz October 30th, 6:30 p.m. at the Stewart County Visitor Center. That's this Thursday. If you haven't heard Monty speak, you need to. The Raw Milk Summit, November 8th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Gorham Homestead, 10584 New Cut Off Road in Bon Aqua. Speakers include Don Gorham, Dr. Ken Berry, Representative Michelle Renaud, Monty Fritz, Samantha Baker, and others. The event is free, seating is limited, so you have to reserve in advance. You can click on the link on the ad. Next week, we'll have a roundtable discussion on the Islamic threat with Kathy Henners, David Baldwin, retired FBI agent David Baldwin, Sharham, I always screw up this name, Sharam Hadian, a former Muslim who is now a pastor here in Tennessee. Guys, this is going to be a good show, okay? So don't miss it. It's going to go a little long. We won't have a second guest. I may do a short section afterwards, but this is going to be an extended show, and it should be a very good show. So make sure you tune in. That's it for now. Good night from Paris, Tennessee, that is.